In today's video, you are going to explore the 7 elements of art. So, draw a line drawing or a contour drawing of your favorite animal. Make it look like a coloring page. Trace it out 7 times. Have one of the images just be the pure outline. Follow along with the video and work the subject to create designs focusing on the elements of art. Today we're going to work the subject. So what I want you to do is create a line drawing, which is known as a contour drawing, of an animal. Focus on the outlines and edges. What we're going to do is we're going to work the subject, which the subject is an animal, and we're going to use the elements of art. So what you're going to do is you're going to hold up your drawing to a window or a light table and trace it out. So you'll keep all the lines. And then on this case, we're going to do a line pattern. So you could use color pencils, color Sharpies, or a regular pencil. In this particular design, you're just going to do an overlay of an alternating line pattern. And it'll create an interesting overlay. So not only are we using lines for outlining, but we're going to do an overlay with line and alternate the direction. So that's a good way to explore line. The next design that we're going to do, we're going to trace it out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use straight lines to create a design focused on geometric shapes, man-made looking shapes. So in this case, let's just say this is your animal. You could take a marker, go around the outlines, and then on the inside, use some straight lines to break up your space in a unique way. Now we want to keep everything flat, so line, we focus on the path of a moving dot, so when we work with shape, we're going to create flat two-dimensional areas. So one of the things that I would recommend for you is just to really let that dry before you start adding color. And when you add in color, and you work with Sharpie or some other sort of marker, it's good to overlap your medium like that. So once this is dry, I would go in and use the colors that I like to color my design. But wait till the black dries. And it'll create a really nice geometric design. The next design that we're going to do, we're going to focus on form. Now there's a number of ways that you could create the illusion of 3D space. But in this particular case, I'm going to show you a little trick. We're going to use what is known as cross contour. So there's a couple things to think about. Let's say if we had like a beach ball. If we use curved lines that cross the outline, that's going to look three-dimensional. Just like here, if I'm drawing like a can or a cup, if I create that same cross curve throughout, it's going to look three-dimensional. Okay? So you could break up your body parts in curved lines, like make it look like a sphere, and repeat these curved lines, and it's going to give that illusion that parts of your animal are going to appear three-dimensional. Now if it's something a little bit more flat in your animal, you could keep it a little bit more straight. So now we're going to move on to texture. Texture deals with surface feel. So with this particular case, you could use things like parallel lines, which would be hatching, shorter parallel lines, cross lines, which would be cross hatching, loose lines, which would be scumble or scribbling, or you could even use dots, which would be stippling. Okay, so parallel lines, hatching, cross lines, cross hatching, loose lines, scribble, dots, stipple. You could be inventive with texture. So think about how you could be creative with your space and create texture with your animal. You could create a furry coat and be creative with texture. The next design that we're going to do is we're going to work with value. We're going to work with light, medium, and dark values to explore the value scale. We're going to use some organic shapes on top. So lightness or darkness is what we're going to focus on. So over your animal, you're going to put in some blob-looking shapes. We're going to use organic shapes. One of the things that I recommend is for a light value, really barely hold on to your pencil and go over and over the whole animal with a light value. Then you could actually hold your pencil sideways and polish in some medium and light values as well. Again, overlaying a number of times to change up your value. So I'm going to talk about some pencils. So I talked about how to use markers, overlapping your markers to get flat shapes. So, you know, when you work with shading techniques, you definitely want to hold your pencil sideways. You could polish, you could go back and forth. So there's a couple things when it comes to pencils. Now, there's an ebony pencil. An ebony pencil, you could experiment with that. You could get some really nice darks with this. So, you know, an ebony pencil with really light pressure, you could get light grays, medium grays, so you could practice that polishing technique. All right. And then there are pencils that, H pencils would be harder graphite, and then B pencils, the bigger the number of the B, the softer the pencils would be. So like a 6B pencil would be really good for dark. A 2B would be good for like a light gray. An HB would be good for a super light gray. So overlay your animal with some organic shapes, and then put a coat of a light gray down, and then build that up with light, medium, and dark values. So we're going to do space. This one's a really complicated design. I'm going to show you how to really simplify a space design. So when we deal with space, we're dealing with area. So we're going to draw the outline of our animal, and then we're going to divide it up to show positive and negative space. Okay, so I'm going to talk about that. So first of all, you just need an outline, no internal details. Then from there, you're going to divide up your space and put either a square or rectangle around it. Once you have that, what you're going to do is on one half, the positive space is the animal, you're going to make it black. And you're going to want, when you work with that, what you're going to want to do, I'll go over that marker technique once again in here in just a second. We're going to overlap our marker. And then on the opposite side, your positive space will be white, and you're going to create the negative space or the empty space black. Okay? So let me review this with you really quickly. So I just kind of freehand an oval shape. So no internal detail. Divide up your space. All right. One of the things I recommend, you go over your pencil drawing with a Sharpie, and then you start outlining it and constantly overlap your previous mark. And the Sharpie is almost dried out. Now on the opposite side, what we're going to do is we're going to color this in. I need a Sharpie that's not fading on me, but I always recommend, you know, outlining everything and then always overlapping your previous stroke. And you could go over this a couple times so it looks like a solid black shape. So this is working with positive and negative space, or positive and negative areas. The object, we kind of flatten that down to a shape, and then the background, we flatten that down to a shape. So hopefully that helps you understand space a little bit. It deals with area. The last design that we're going to do is we're just going to look at the color wheel. We want to use all the colors from the color wheel. Okay. Now you get to be as expressive and unique with this all you want. Use any sort of color material. So just make sure you have all the primary, secondaries, and try to throw in some intermediate colors. So I'm going to talk about that with you right now. So be creative with color. Now, you know, again, you could go through and just plop in all sorts of colors in a unique way. You could just go through like all your markers and just be creative with putting in unique colors. Again, if you're using marker, it's so much better if you outline and then put in there. So you could use stuff like that. Color pencils, I'll show you something. So one thing that you could try with color pencils is, say if you're missing a color, you could put down a light coat of your darker color and then even polish with this and layer to get some unique colors. But if you're going to use color pencil, build it up, hold it kind of sideways so you're not scratching, and then just build up your colors, so forth. Now you could even go down the color wheel and blend your colors. That's a fun, unique way of working. So you could work around with pressures and stuff like that. It's optional for, just explore colors. So for example, let's say I have here are some oil pastels, and you could even use something like this. Use what you have. If I wanted to have like, I could take this and I could put down a light coat of blue, right? And then I could even polish my yellow right on top, and I could make colors. I could go through and do like different pressures, and then I could blend with this. Now one thing with the oil pastels, you want to have a scrap paper to get that all clean. So we see color by reflection, and in the art world we study the color wheel. In the science world you cover the spectrum. All right, so explore color. There's a number of different ways that you can do that. Explore positive and negative space. Right, showed you some solutions for that. There's an advanced one. Okay. Explore value by working with graphite pencils, shading pencils, and putting in light, medium, and dark values. Explore textures. You could use any sort of medium, a thin pen, a pencil. You could even do that in color. Try to explore that surface feel. Look up the idea of the cross contour to create form. Think of a beach ball or a tin can. Shape, divide up your space with geometric shapes. Let the black Sharpie dry. Have that kind of flat shape look where it looks very geometric. And then line. So with that, you're going to use an alternating line pattern overlay. Those could be different colors. Have fun with that one. It's going to be really fun for you. But it all starts with a contour drawing. A contour drawing is where you focus on the outlines and edges. Sometimes you could start it and redraw it and make it look nice. This is my original drawing, and then I ended up reworking it to make it look a little bit nicer. So it works really well if you turn your drawing into like a coloring page. And so those are the 7 elements of design to explore. There are more possibilities in how you could work with the elements, but what this is known as working this subject and working with the elements of art. So it's a really fun way to explore design. So good luck with your designs, and thank you for joining me today. Thank you for watching my video. Review these definitions at the end of the video and learn the possibilities of exploring design with the elements of art. Line is an element of art which is a moving dot that has length and width. Shape is an element of art which is an enclosed two-dimensional area. It could be organic or geometric. Form is an element of art in which objects are three-dimensional. Texture is an element of art which describes the way a surface feels or appears to feel. Value is an element of art which is associated with lightness or darkness. Space is an element of art which indicates area and is something to show depth. Color is an element of art which is the reflection of light. What can you do with the elements of art? Explore these design concepts and make something amazing.